Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. I'm just getting the chat set up here. We're ready to roll. And yeah, 4 streams this week. There's an awful lot that's going on. And it's been crazy, and it's going to keep getting crazier. I did say that we were going to try to do more streaming, both recorded, pre-recorded, and live. But the objective is to keep everybody informed as to what's going on, both folks that are inclined to follow the blog, as well as those who are, shall we say, more visually interested. So please hold off on the super chats until I give you the word. I want to try to stay focused on the topics that are at hand first. So save your questions. I'll make sure that we have at least 20 minutes or so to address the questions and so forth. Now, first of all, as some of you may or may not know, the blog, my blog, voxday.blogspot.com, was under, I guess what can only be described as an SJW attack from someone at Google yesterday. It was not, just to be clear, it was not an example of Google's policy. I don't have any reason to believe, and more than a little reason to disbelieve, that the attack was actually sanctioned by any any managers or much less executives. But we now have official proof that the blog is dangerous. So we've even commemorated that with a t-shirt at Crypto Fashion, which you'll probably see on the blog here in a couple weeks. But the important thing is to understand that these attacks are going to keep happening, and they're going to get more common as the country continues to get more polarized. Now, I didn't freak out about it or anything. We actually experienced a similar attack from Amazon. In fact, we were hit by numerous attacks, 9 of them in all, and we knew from talking to managers at Amazon that this was not sanctioned, that this was a rogue employee. But the problem is that when the managers don't deal effectively with it, and at places like Google, at places like Amazon, the management and even the executives are afraid of the SJWs. And so we were attacked 8 times at Amazon. It was a minor attack. They just kept taking the same book out of publication because they were upset about it. And so what they did when they weren't stopped, every time they would take the book down, we would contact the appropriate manager and they would put the book back up. But this failure to control the SJW encouraged them. And so what they did was then came up with an excuse to take down Castalia's entire Amazon account. We had, I don't know how many books, 100 books for sale, and boom, gone. They even sent us an email saying that we wouldn't be paid the royalties that we were owed. Now again, because we knew it was only a one or two people, relatively low-level people, attacking us, we didn't get upset. We contacted them. We made it clear that there was a potential legal issue at hand, but we also made it clear that we understood that this was not a policy decision by the executives. And so what happened was that we not only got it completely resolved within 18 hours, but some of their legal team actually made sure to provide us with their personal mobiles so that if it ever happened again, we could get in touch with them right away. Because these guys are very smart, and it's not a fight that they wanted. It wasn't corporate policy. And they didn't make the mistake of immediately lawyering up in order to avoid admitting some wrongdoing. And so that was our experience, I don't know, it was maybe 18 months ago or so. And so fortunately, because of that, that helped us understand how to respond reasonably and not overreact to what happened yesterday with Google. So what happened yesterday with Google? Well, I can show you right here. I think you'll find it very interesting. This is something that everybody saw when they visited the blog yesterday. Actually, I think I forgot what my hotkeys are. All right, well, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way and click on it. This is what everyone saw when they came to the blog. The site ahead contains harmful programs. Attackers on voxday.blogspot.com might attempt to trick you into installing programs that harm your browsing experience. For example, by changing your home page or showing extra ads on sites you visit. Learn more. And then to visit the blog, you had to click on details and then click on I'm willing to risk the danger, and if you went into the details, they actually talked about the fact, not the fact, they talked about the wildly erroneous and totally defamatory non-fact that there were programs and apps that were on the site. Now, I'd like to remind you that this particular site is Blogspot. It's Blogger. It's owned by Google. So they were literally complaining about their own site and how dangerous their own site was. A little irony there for you. Now, obviously, a lot of people were very concerned right away, and they were thinking, oh, this is the first step of deplatforming, blah, blah, blah. Well, we didn't know. We had no idea what had sparked this. Was it a post about vaccines? Was it a post about the election? But that didn't make any sense, because the accusations, were that there was some kind of apps and malware and everything. So we started looking into it, and one of the first things that I looked at was this. When you went into the details, it talked about the safe browsing status. And you can check the site status, and it said this site is unsafe. The site voxday.blogspot.com contains harmful content, including pages that install unwanted or malicious software on visitors' computers. Well, obviously, we knew that was BS. We knew it was total nonsense. And so it occurred to me, well, Blogger has all of these sites mirrored. So you've actually got a technically different site, even though it's the same stuff, but it's a different site in Italy, blogspot.it, in the UK, blogspot.co.uk, in Germany, blogspot.de. So I thought, well, maybe we should take a look and see what the take a look and see what the says for these other places. Well, here's what was interesting. Voxday.blogspot.de said no unsafe content found. Well, how is that possible? I mean, how can they possibly say that .com has malware on it when .de is exactly the same stuff? It's not possible. So that got me thinking, well, okay, so the US site .com is supposedly unsafe. DE is okay, so we started checking everything. .it, .ch, .pl, everywhere from literally Japan to Denmark. And so what we came up with next, the next idea was, well, we can't really prove this because it says that the info was last updated on January 15th, 2020. That was nearly a year ago. So maybe the German site is only being reported as safe because it was last checked a while ago. Well, then we found this. This is, I believe it's the Ukrainian site, not the UK site. Voxday.blogspot.uk. You can see that the safe browsing site status, no unsafe content found, on December 15th, 2020, the same day. So what that told us and what we realized was that what had happened was that someone in the US, someone at Google in the US who had access to the messages related to the US site had put up the fake warning. And then they had also put up a redirect so that all the other mirrored sites, which were verified to be safe, would redirect to the US warning. So no matter where you were in the world, even though you could look and confirm that the site was entirely safe, they would redirect you to the US and then make these false claims about the unsafe nature of the site. So what we decided to do was make sure that we could prove exactly what was happening. And that's what you'll see in this next video. What you're going to see is someone going to the country site, I believe in this case it's Canada, and proving that the site is safe, then manually going to the same site that they've just verified as safe and seeing it popped up as the .com site, with the red warning. So here we are, the transparency report, blogspot.canada, it's safe. Now we're going to go to blogspot.ca. And this is someone in Canada. Boom. That takes you to the warning on the US site. Redirects you there. Now you can get through it, but it shows dangerous. And again, proves that it's still safe. So, yeah, we also had some of the videos were done with the console open so they could actually see the redirect instructions taking place and that sort of thing. I mean, this is an absolute smoking gun. This absolutely proved malicious intent, lies, and defamation. Now, what we're going to do about that, I don't know. What we did do about it, I'm not going to talk about what we're going to do about it because, you know, we never talk about what we're going to do. We've learned not to do that. But what we did do is we went through the process. Anytime you're going to hold a tech company responsible, you can't just start running around shrieking about lawyers and that sort of thing. That's what amateurs do. That's what idiots do. That's what people who don't even read the terms of use do. Okay? Never ever tell anyone, you should sue. You should get a lawyer. If those words ever come out of your mouth, all you're doing is telling people who understand how the process works that you have no idea what you're talking about, you have no experience, and your opinion is totally irrelevant. Okay? But what you always have to do, whether you're going to go through all the way to filing a class action lawsuit or whatever else, what you need to do is go through the official process. In the case of Google, with the sites, the blogs and stuff, you have to request a review. And these reviews, they tell you, are going to take, several weeks. Now, when I requested the review, they say, well, did you fix whatever we said the problem was? Well, of course, they didn't say what the problem was. They just said there's malware on the site, which there wasn't. So I simply sent a short note saying, I have changed nothing. This is a false accusation. There is no malware on the site. There are no applications on the site. And the only company that is collecting any information on the site is Google. So whoever got that information looked into it immediately, obviously realized that some irresponsible SJW had gone and concocted this whole charade, and promptly removed the warning and confirmed that that we had not done anything wrong. In fact, let me read you the message that they posted. Let me see where there we are. Oh, why won't this show? Oh, I see. I have to go to a different window. So what they said was, review successful for voxday.blogspot.com. Google has received and processed your security review request. Google systems indicate that voxday.blogspot.com no longer contains links to harmful sites or downloads. It never did, but anyhow. The warnings visible to users are being removed from your site. This may take a few hours to happen. So whoever it was that was in charge of that did the right thing, took care of it. That was good. And I was actually impressed. They actually took care of the situation and fixed it faster than Amazon did. So kudos to them. That was good. But it's important to keep in mind that this can happen to anybody who has a single individual at one of these big tech companies who is upset with you, opposed to you, angry at you, or whatever. We've now had this happen with Amazon. We've had this happen with Indiegogo, and we've now had this happen with Google. So, and I've seen similar things happen to other people as well. So this is a serious problem, and even when people are not being deplatformed, they are being attacked by individual employees at the big tech companies who are abusing their position and abusing their power. However, all of this is about to come to an end, at least in Europe. And what we're going to see very soon is going to be a very interesting battle between the European governments and the big tech companies. And the reason is that the big tech companies have been trying to rein them in. They've been trying to force Facebook and Google and Apple and everybody to be a bit more reasonable and be a bit more fair in how they're dealing with people. Now, these are not necessarily good governments. They're not necessarily on our side. But big tech is so out of control that they feel the need to reel them in, even as they try to use them to sometimes impose their own ideologies and stuff. You know, you've seen Angela Merkel trying to work with Facebook in order to silence nationalists in Germany, for example. So we're not talking about a good party of actors who are on the side of the good, the beautiful, and the true, but they are aware of the massive problem that big tech poses, and they are taking serious steps to stop it. And so a lot of people don't realize that Google has already paid something like $9 billion or 9 billion euros in fines in Europe. Some of the other big companies have been fined. They've passed special taxes that only apply to big tech. They have also passed laws like the General Data Protection Regulations and so forth, which so far have proven totally inadequate to keeping them under control. But that's why the next step is coming, and this is really interesting. It is called the actually, I don't know what it's called. I need to click on it and see what it is called. Okay. They're proposing the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act. And what they're going to do is essentially rein in companies that are declared to be gatekeepers. And so they're going to try to, now some of this stuff is not going to be good. They're going to have rules for the removal of illegal goods, services, or content online. That could definitely get out of control. Safeguards for users whose content has been erroneously deleted by platforms. Okay, so what they're actually talking about is people who are being deplatformed, like Jordan Peterson, for example. He was deplatformed by Gmail, and then they said, oh, it was just a mistake. You know, they love to attack people, and then if there's not a sufficient outcry or not a sufficient legal consequences, they hide their actions under accidents. I also suspect that those are not actual policy on the part of the companies. I think that those are usually bad actors within the companies, just like the situation we had with the blog yesterday. But clearly it's happened often enough that the European Commission is aware of it and is taking steps to stop it. This is interesting. New obligations for very large platforms to take risk-based action to prevent abuse of their systems. The abuse of their systems could be referring to parties that the governments want silenced, or it could be referring to the platforms themselves. Quite possibly both. So there could be good and bad in that. Wide-ranging transparency measures, including on online advertising and on the algorithms used to recommend content to users. This could be absolutely massive because right now big tech is picking the winners and losers. We don't even pay attention to trying to sell our books on Amazon because Amazon stacks the deck. Amazon absolutely favors its the authors that it has signed directly to its fake imprints like 47 North and some of the other imprints that it uses. Google does the same, or YouTube does the same thing. As you know, the algorithms are absolutely cranked against this channel. We every live stream we do, we get somewhere between 750 and 1,500 viewers, and yet over a year, only about 1,000 people have subscribed to this channel on YouTube for free. We literally have more paid subscribers we have a bigger growth in paid subscribers to unauthorized than we have free subscribers on YouTube. That's because the algorithms are cranked against it. The opposite is true of people that are being pushed. The Ben Shapiros, the Jordan Petersons. You can't escape the in YouTube ads for them because they're pushing those gatekeepers on you. New powers to scrutinize how platforms work, including by facilitating access by researchers to key platform data. In other words, they're not going to be allowed to get away with, well, that's just how the algorithm works, and it just works that way, and it's all totally fair. Trust us. Well, no, they're not going to trust them anymore. New rules on traceability of business users in online marketplaces to help track down sellers of illegal goods or services. That's reasonable enough. And an innovative cooperation process among public authorities to ensure effective enforcement across the single market. In other words, they're not going to be able to play the game of, well, we might have misbehaved in Germany, but we haven't done anything wrong here in the Netherlands, so you shouldn't act like we've ever done anything wrong. So it says platforms that reach more than 10% of the EU's population, which means 45 million, if you've got more than 45 million users, are considered systemic in nature and are subject not only to specific obligations to control their own risks, but also to a new oversight structure. This new accountability framework will be comprised of a board of national digital services coordinators with special powers for the Commission and supervising very large platforms, including the ability to sanction them directly. In other words, Facebook, Google, Apple, we're sick of your BS. We understand you have lots of money and you won't even change your ways if we fine you $5 billion. So we're going to make sure that we hit you so hard it hurts. So the interesting thing is that they're going to create the punishments involved can be up to 10%. A single fine could be up to 10% of the gatekeeper company's worldwide income. So they are going to behave or else. And the great thing is that you're going to see this policy adopted in the US at some point in time. And you're also going to see it adopted in Asia as well, I believe. And so, the age of the unaccountable big tech company is just about over. Which, by the way, is why they are going to take some actions. We don't know what they'll be, but you should be aware that they're not going to take this kind of thing lying down, and they're going to try some nonsense to get over it. I don't know what that will be, but I think that if you're using any big tech system, especially cloud-based systems, it's time for you to download locally and back up locally all of your data. So, obviously, my blog gets backed up like hourly. I don't use things like I just don't use cloud services. I don't use Dropbox. I don't use Google Drive. I don't use any of this stuff. So, so what I would recommend is that after this stream, the first thing you should do, obviously, is subscribe to Unauthorized. That's a joke. We'd encourage you to, but that has nothing to do with this. The first thing that you should do is make sure that you download all of your critical data, your email contacts, your critical files, your documents, etc., etc. I strongly suggest that you make sure that you don't leave anything up there, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I don't believe that they're going to just sit there and say, gee, well, I guess I guess it's too bad that we're not going to be allowed to just keep doing whatever the hell we want with no consequences all the time. That's not how they work. That's not what they do. And this is not anything related to the 10 days of darkness, shutdown of the internet. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is the big tech's angry backlash against the political forces that would rein them in. So, so please back up your data. Please back up your cloud files. You'll be very glad that you did in the event there are any major changes to the cloud architecture in the next month or so. So anyhow, that's all I have for this portion of the stream. Let's go ahead and fire away with your super chats and questions now, if you like. First of all, Christopher McCullough says, "Merry Christmas to the world's most dangerous game developer." Thank you. Merry Christmas to you too. It is nice to be officially dangerous. I feel like there's a certain unauthorized status confirmed there. Anaf Habib says, "The cornered animal is the most dangerous. Big tech know that the president is about to smack down hard on them and their buddies. Ergo, this is desperation. These guys are begging to be broken up." Well, yeah. In fact, the one part of the European law that I didn't mention is that if the measures that they take, including the massive fines, are not sufficient, then the commission will have the ability to force them to get broken up. So, so that's interesting. Dayton asks, "Is that the Coddington Bear?" It is the Coddington Bear, exactly. Someone wanted to know if I'm the guy from Psychosonic. I am indeed the least talented member of Psychosonic. So that is indeed my band. Carolina Swamp Fox sends $20 for without a question. So thank you very much for that. Skylar Smith, welcome to Bronze Pack. And let's see. And we're caught up. So let me see if there's any other questions I can see here. What do you think the point of the DNI announcement tonight was? Well, I think that it's letting everybody know that it's coming. I mean, it could be massively significant with regards to the election. So we'll have to see how it see what it says. I'm going to read it. Colonel Jessup says, "Your blog is more enjoyable with that red hue to it. Thanks, Vox." I'm glad you enjoy it. It's got sort of that. It's kind of, I guess, it's appropriate for the whole Dark Lord image. So, Jilly is glad we got the dangerous blog site taken care of. Art Athletics says DNI report will be delayed. Is that a prediction or are you saying that that's what the point of the announcement was? I have no idea. Well, my understanding is that it has to be turned in within 45 days. Announced. Oh, it's been announced that it will be delayed. Okay. But delayed beyond the 45 days or delayed beyond when they had originally said it was going to come in? When can we expect the ebook versions of the Junior Classics? Sometime after Christmas. Oh, by the way, I do have something to show you, which I'm extremely stoked about. This is direct from the bindery. And we have this is totally unretouched. It's just a straight up picture. This is the Divine Comedy by Dante, the Castalia Library version. And it is beautiful. We went with the cerulean. People tend to think about Dante only in the context of Inferno, and so we thought we wanted to go with the approach more reflective of the Paradiso. And what's really gorgeous is this is the end papers. So you can see when the book opens up on the inside, those are the end papers, and it's the exterior is beautiful, the interior is beautiful. It's all just this is the best thing that we've done yet. Actually, let me be more specific. This is the best thing that we've done yet. That, of course, was the library version. This is the Libraria version, which is the goat skin, and it's I think even more attractive, and so that's where Owen's goats go when they die, if they're lucky. So, but yeah, we're extremely pleased with how that's going. Plutarch is not going to be done until January. They're having trouble getting enough gold. Apparently there's a lot of it on the cover for that. But the goat skin actually smells really good. And it feels like almost buttery. It's actually incredible. Mad Mardigan says, is this a large enough donation to get vanned? I don't know what vanned means. Banned? Are you looking to get banned, or is banned? You'll have to explain that. You don't need to. Don't send another super chat. Just explain it in the chat. I think a reprint of Amorous Fiammetta by Boccaccio would be great. Oh well, we're definitely doing Decameron, no question. Van, like when they execute the list and pick us all up in the party van. Yeah, I would say that that would definitely get you on the list. Clovis says, send some fiat for a friend. Please keep going. Oh, we will. We absolutely will. Is it true that H.P. Lovecraft's books are being phased out? By whom? I mean, H.P. Lovecraft is definitely being canceled by the SJWs in science fiction, but who cares what they say, do, or think? His books are public domain. They'll continue to be popular for many years to come. Any thoughts on printing Father Pesch on economics? None whatsoever. We are going to be publishing Steve Keen, both his Debunking Economics as well as his magnum opus, which we've signed to publish. Castelli House will be publishing Steve Keen's authoritative and ultimate work on economics whenever he happens to finish it. What are your thoughts on Cthulhu? After Donald Trump, he would be my favorite presidential candidate. So, oh, I see. Diesel fueled van. Well, I wouldn't worry about the vans. I'm certain that the vast majority of folks who read the blog and listen to this stream are sufficiently well defended against such things. John Rampton says, Merry Christmas and congratulations on your new dangerous title. I really do appreciate that. I don't like to step on Milo's toes, of course, but hey, it's been conveyed. I actually rather like the whole Dark Lord title. It's not something I assigned to myself or requested, but it was just bestowed upon me. So I can only humbly accept. Hats off to Voxday and also the great Coddington Bear. Cheers, once verified as Shukar Bear. Thanks, Shukar Bear. Good to see you. What did you ask for from Santa this year? Actually, I asked for a leather-bound book. Easton Press has a signed edition of Neuromancer, and I was interested in that. And I also asked for ASL Starter Kit number 4. I'm pretty sure I won't get that. Are there any translations you'd recommend for Aristotle's Rhetoric? Yes, we will be publishing it. In fact, that's going to be book 9 in the Castalia Library. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but it's not the one that Penguin uses. Machiavelli's History of Florence. Why not just read Machiavelli directly? No, I don't have a particular. I've never compared the translations. I read whatever translation was on. For English, I read whatever translation happened to be on Gutenberg, and then I also read it in Italian, that and Discourses. So Plato or Aristotle? It's not even close. I'm absolutely an Aristotelian, 100%. I disregard Plato extremely, and my opinion of Socrates is even lower. So I'm a fan of early Gibson. I'm a fan of late Gibson. I'm just a fan of Gibson, period. You know, he's one of the best writers of his generation. There's no question. Rubicon, 10 times more exciting than Comic-Con. Exactly. So, all right. Well, that seems like we've. How do you feel about Plotinus? I don't. I used to think Werewolves of London was Where Was the Governor? That's funny. Academic Agents panel show highly praised Voxday's continuing election analysis insights. Well, that's very kind of them. It's always nice to know that people value your opinion. Thoughts on CCP's Air Force training in Canada? It's part of the whole unrestricted warfare process. You know, if you want to peel away let me back up. The Chinese are very respectful of the way that the U.S. uses its multi-state, multi-party approach to build support for its wars inside the U.S. itself, as well as allowing it to give them the moral high ground. And so what I suspect is that the Chinese military training with other militaries is primarily about China attempting to peel away that support from the U.S. military. Rousseau or Locke? Well, definitely Locke, but mostly because I'm highly anti-Rousseau. Aquinas versus Aristotle. No, that's a tough one. I would say for raw intellect, Aristotle. For genuine insight into daily living, I would say Aristotle. But I think that I prefer Aquinas for his method of analysis and argument. Also, the fact that Aquinas is a Christian gives him a deeper insight into the forces of good and evil that tend to drive man So he's really, Aquinas goes into a deeper level than Aristotle can. Is Canada a threat to the world? No. Let's see. Python versus Blackadder? Definitely Python. Jefferson versus Hamilton? Jefferson. Do you think it would be possible to convince most people that Trump was the legitimate winner of the election? Yes. And if so, how? I was talking to a very good friend of mine, a very smart friend of mine, and he finds, he has a very strong normalcy bias. And so I think that what's necessary to convince him is he's got to see the logs of the voting machines. If they can show what the votes actually were versus what the votes were transformed and adjudicated to be on a large scale, people will believe it. It's difficult for people, right now, those of us who are sufficiently aware and intelligent understand that the sampling that we've seen already proves the issue beyond any reasonable doubt. But we're not talking about beyond reasonable doubt here. We're talking about getting people rhetorically past their emotional attachment to the status quo. Clovis said, if you were to add another rule to your 10 rules from the end of Jordanetics for being less of a reactive gamma rhetorical thinker, what would it be? I have no idea because I don't remember what my 10 rules are. It's always a bad idea to ask an author about things that he's written because we tend to think a lot more about what we're writing now than stuff that we did in the past. But I will address this. I will read my 10 rules and I will address this on the blog at some point in the next couple weeks. Thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077? None. Are Irish people as good looking as the rumors say? Well, I actually tend to be partial to Irish girls. They don't tend to have particularly long legs. That's kind of the one downside of the Irish, I would guess. But they do tend. I wouldn't put them at the top. I wouldn't put them up with the Norwegians or anything. But I would put them in the top 10 of peoples when it comes to generally being attractive. What's in the oak barrel? A Spanish wine called Tempranillo. What's your go-to book on leadership? I don't have one. What 3 books would you bring with you if you got stuck on a desert island for the rest of your days? I can't even possibly address that. Obviously the smart thing to do would be to say War and Peace and 1Q84 by Murakami and something like The Divine Comedy, but I don't actually know. Next Patreon book, those last one's Corrosion. We got to get caught up. We're behind on those. We'll get them out this week. So, Infinite Jest? No, I hated Infinite Jest. Absolutely hated it. All right. On that note, thank you all for stopping by. Swing by Unauthorized when you get a chance. We've got pushing 1,800 hours of video up there, and this will be up on Unauthorized by tomorrow. So have a good evening. I'm Voxday. This is the Darkstream. And once more, I forgot to click in the right window.